This week's episode is brought to you by Jeff Heimbuch's School of Pronunciating. It's just past Magic Mountain, supposedly the best school there is.
Communicore Weekly! Communicore Weekly! Come on and get geeky! With Bob around boats and five-legged goats. Communicore Weekly! You might get some freaking! You waited all week, I'm sure you already know that it's the greatest online show.
Hello and welcome to Communicore Weekly, the greatest online show and home of the world's first pair of independently born identical twins. I'm George.
And I guess I'm Jeff.
You guess.
I guess.
You can't check like the name tag in the back of your shirt?
It's usually in my underwear. I'm just so depressed that this is like 2 weeks now. You're having cool trip reports, and I'm just like, meh.
Oh, who lives 10 minutes away from Disneyland?
I don't even know what that place is anymore. Who even knows what's going on there?
I have to drive at least an hour and a half to get to an amusement park or a thrill park.
I have to drive at least 20 minutes in traffic. I don't want to hear you complain. It's about even. 20 minutes California time is the same as an hour and a half your time.
I know, that's why it's so hard to get these episodes recorded because of the time travel and oh god, it's just crazy.
You guys have no idea what we go through to make this happen.
You know, I won't really talk about it in the trip report, but I was 1 hour closer when I was in Santa Claus, Indiana.
What?
Yes, everything, my cell phone switch times and everything.
That's insane.
And I was like, I gained an hour, yay!
Hooray, magic! And then you lost it when you went home.
I came back. Yeah.
Did you check in the sock drawer?
No, I didn't.
Oh, maybe you should.
Communicore Weekly sock drawer.
All right, I guess we should listen to your trip report.
All right.
I'm step, jump, and I'm scared. We took a trip, and this is our trip
So, as we talked about last week on episode, 231?
That is correct.
Something like that. I got to take a gigantic coaster trip, which I've been waiting forever to take. Got to visit 4 theme parks, 3 days, 1,600 miles, and a handful of coasters. I was shooting for 42.
In a partridge in a pear tree.
Boy, the Communicore Weekly holiday album. And so I was only able to get 21 coasters in out of the 42. But Cedar Point had a blackout, missed more than half of it, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. Today I want to talk about what I did on the rest of my trip. So, had to drive about a half a day to get to Cincinnati, Ohio for my home, to visit Kings Island, and had some Skyline chili on my way in, which was awesome. Had a 4-way with onions. I know, some people like beans. I like the onions.
Interesting.
Yep, and I used to live in Cincinnati, and my very last trip to Kings Island was when I was 12. And it was also the first time I rode one of my first major roller coasters, and I rode the original Bat by Aerodynamics, which sort of was the world's first suspended coaster and was the predecessor for the Big Bad Wolf. Sadly, the Bat only lasted for a few years, and I did get to ride the new and not so improved Bat at Kings Island now, but we'll worry about that later. So this is my first trip to Kings Island in more than 30 years. Probably like 2 feet taller than I was back then.
Fair. Fair.
Give or take. So I was expecting everything to be smaller, and it was. Everything was smaller. I was so surprised. So it was sort of like visiting a theme park in your dreams. I sort of knew where everything was, but things kind of looked like they were in different places, or I didn't quite remember it being here. Mm-hmm. Sort of like when you go to Disneyland after visiting the Magic Kingdom.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
You're like, where is this? Because
everything's flipped backwards mostly.
Exactly. It's turned around. It's on this side. So I was looking forward to a few rides from my childhood, as well as experiencing the Beast and a lot of other coasters. And wow, let me say, the Beast roller coaster debuted in 1979, and more than 30 years later, it is one of the best roller coasters I've ever ridden. If not the best wooden coaster, it's pretty spectacular.
Has it gone under any refurbishment since it opened?
Yeah,
I'm assuming it has.
Yeah, they've done some refurbishments, and from talking to other people, they said that the trim brakes were on, which slowed it down a little bit, which apparently is good. So I got 4 rides on it, rode it, did a full night ride near the front, and had bugs all over my glasses.
Nice.
Yes. It's very bone rattling and bone shaking in the back, but it is an amazing coaster that doesn't stop. So went the second day to Kings Island, because I had a full day there, and ran into memory lane things. The spot that I sat with my dad and my brother when my mom went to ride roller coasters, and got to ride the Monster, which is an octopus style ride that I used to ride with my brother Andy, that does all the music for the show, when he was much littler, and that was fun. Got to relive that. I'm a lot bigger than I used to be. That's
just slightly, a few inches.
All we'll say, yeah. And I got to ride the Racer, which is the Philadelphia Toboggan Company coaster that sort of started the whole coaster revolution of the 70s. So that was exciting. And got to hit a lot of the other coasters like Diamondback and Banshee, like I mentioned, the Bat, which wasn't that exciting. But Kings Island's a great park. Loved it. The children's area, the kids area, Planet Snoopy has been voted like the best children's area for the past 15 years running. It's a fantastic park. Lots of coasters, lots of family-style rides. Loved it. Okay, so after that, drove to Louisville, spent the night in Louisville, and drove to Holiday World and Splash and Safari, which is located in Santa Claus, Indiana. And I was super excited about visiting this park because I've been listening to the Holiday World podcast and the Ho'opo, as they call it, and really enjoying the stories, the history, because this park's 70 years old.
And they call it the Ho'opo?
Yeah, Holiday World podcast. They say Ho'opo.
I know. I got it, but it's just great.
But if you use Ho'opo when you buy your tickets online, you get a huge discount too.
Do you really?
Oh, it's fantastic.
It's
absolutely
awesome.
Fantastic. So Holiday World is in Santa Claus, Indiana, which was a different time zone, and it's basically in the middle of farm country. And you're driving, and all of a sudden there's a gigantic steel roller coaster in the middle of the field, and you're like, what just happened here? Wasn't expecting this. But Holiday World's been around for like 70 years, as I mentioned. It was originally called Santa Claus Land, and we've covered it before during one of our Christmas episodes.
I forget what episode it was, but
yeah, I can't remember what it was. One of the Christmas episodes.
This past year, I think.
I think it was the most recent one.
2015 episode.
Yeah. But it's they're vying for the world's first theme park. Because they existed well before Disneyland, but they're in competition with Knott's.
I think Knott's has them beat.
Yeah, but I liked Holiday World. It was fun. So anyway, Holiday World has 4 amazing coasters and an incredible number, almost 40 different flat rides or carnival-style rides, and the most incredible dark ride I've ever ridden called Gobbler Getaway. It's sort of like Buzz Lightyear Astro Blaster. It's a Sally dark ride. Mm-hmm. And you have a gun, so to speak, but it's not a gun, it's a turkey collar.
What?
Yes, because, Holiday World is separated into 4 different holidays.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, Halloween, Christmas, and 4th of July. So it's in the Thanksgiving section. And you've got a turkey collar in your hand, and when you push the button, it goes gobble, gobble, gobble. And you hit the targets, and turkeys pop up. It's amazing.
Okay.
I laughed the whole time, and it was just a wonderful dark ride. Absolutely loved it.
I will need to YouTube this.
Exactly. It was really, really wonderful. And the whole time I was in Halloween Land, Jeff, I thought about you because everything is orange and purple and black.
Scary?
Not scary, charming scary.
Okay, cool.
I mean,
cool.
They've got a scarecrow scrambler.
I like it.
It's cute. And 2 amazing wooden roller coasters. The Raven, which was built in the mid-90s and sort of gave Holiday World their claim to fame. Mm-hmm. And then the Legend of Sleepy Hollow roller coaster, yes, based on the tale, which is a fantastic, recently retracked coaster.
I think I'm sure this is not true, but it'd be amazing if, like, slightly behind the coaster cars, there was, like, another coaster car with the Headless Horseman in.
With a pumpkin, yes.
Yeah,
oh, that would be
just
fantastic.
following you.
Oh, it'd be absolutely amazing. And then, so those were in the Holiday World section. The Christmas Land section is one of the original areas of the park, and there's all these cute little tiny flat rides for little kids, a Santa merry-go-round, and all themed after the reindeer. Very, very cute, very adorable. And as I mentioned, when we got to Thanksgiving Land, which is pretty amazing to have the Gobbler Getaway and a turkey tilt-a-whirl called the Turkey Whirl, they also have the Voyage, which Behind the Beast is probably my favorite wooden roller coaster of all time, and I rode it in the pouring rain, 60 miles an hour.
Oh,
and
he was been pelted in the face.
It exfoliated my skin. I looked wonderful afterwards. But it's an amazing coaster, very reminiscent of the Beast. You can tell that they loved the Beast when they made it, and they enjoyed it. And it also has Thunderbird, which is a brand new, debuted in 2015, winged launch coaster. So like Rock and Roller Coaster or California Screamin', it launches you from 0 to 60 in like 3 seconds, but it's a wing coaster, so you're sort of hanging over the edge with nothing underneath you.
And it I'm on board.
Beautiful. It's a B&M coaster, loved it, fantastic. There's also the Splashin' Safari, which is a water park, and that's in the middle of it, and I rode my first water coaster, which is Mammoth.
Interesting.
And it was very cold, very shocking, but I did it. So you'd be proud of me. I got wet at a water park, which I've never really done before.
Yeah, that's not really my thing either, so kudos to you for that one.
Yes, exactly. I wore my old glasses with a nerd strap, and I kept them. But before we leave Holiday World, because I want to talk about Kentucky Kingdom, some amazing things about Holiday World. Free sunscreen.
What?
Yes, free sunscreen located in different areas of the park. Free Wi-Fi, which is pretty much standard now, but when they debuted, they were the first park. And free soda. Absolutely, positively free soda.
What kind?
It's mostly Pepsi.
That's amazing.
But they did have Big Red Cream Soda, which is a childhood favorite of mine. But it's free soda. They've got all these Pepsi Oasis stations. You walk up, you grab a cup, you get your soda. There's no charge for soda in the restaurants. They don't serve soda at the fast food places. You can just go right and get your own soda.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. It's wonderful. Keeps people hydrated. Keeps the sunscreen off of them. Beautiful idea. And a special shout out to Paula and Matt and Leia and Lauren, who are on the Holiday World podcast. They welcomed me, made me feel fantastic, and had if you get a chance to get anywhere near Holiday World, check it out. It's easily a 2-day park. Easily.
Cool.
And that's saying a lot. So last park I went to was, besides Cedar Point, was Kentucky Kingdom. Drove back to Louisville. So Saturday was a big day, 2 parks in 1 day, and got to experience about 3 hours of Kentucky Kingdom because I had to drive to Cedar Point that evening. But unfortunately, the big giant coaster I was going to visit, Storm Chaser, the brand new retract RMC coaster, they built it, is supposed to be amazing. But I got to ride 3 other roller coasters, walk around, take photos. They offer free sunscreen there as well. But it's in the middle of the Kentucky State Fairgrounds, so it's kind of weird.
That is a weird location for it, but
but it's
maybe
got
it works for him.
Yeah, it's got a gigantic water park in the middle of it, and tons of kids rides and flat rides, all different types. 2 really good coasters. Lightning Run is a steel coaster with a lot of airtime, and then Thunder Run is a great wooden coaster that was recently redone, and I thought I was going to come out of my seat plenty of times, which is a great wooden coaster.
So you weren't on board for it, is what you were saying.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, you did? Okay. Cool.
Oh, I love it. Are you kidding me? I won't go into a haunted house, or a haunt, but I'll ride.
But you're okay with
roller
being
coaster
flung out of a roller coaster?
Oh yeah, that's fantastic.
Of course.
And Kentucky Kingdom, a much smaller park. Still enjoyed it. Had a good time. Good to combine it with a trip to Kings Island, but remember, it is smaller. But it's got a lot of options for you. So hey, was super excited to do this gigantic coaster trip, like I mentioned. Kings Island, Holiday World, Kentucky Kingdom, most of Cedar Point before it lost power.
You got a lot in there, though, so good for you.
Got a lot in, had a great time, really enjoyed it, and looking forward to my trip next year, which I think will be up in Pennsylvania, because you got Kennywood, not Kennedywood, that's different. It's different. That's in Texas.
Yeah.
You got Kennywood, Hershey Park, Dorney Park, Nobles. Super excited about that too. Definitely check some of those parks out. They are amazing.
He's a nerd, he's a geek, but we all like to hear him speak. So listen up to the words from his beat. It's George's Book of the Week.
Tales from the Haunted Mansion, Volume 1, arrived as an uncorrected advance-proof copy. And basically this means it's a book that's not ready to be sold, but it's sort of for reviewers to get their hands on it and get a good feel for it, because there's sometimes mistakes and things like that.
Yeah.
But this is a book that's geared towards the tween and preteen set, 8 to 12-year-olds. It's written by John Esposito with illustrations by Kelly Jones, and with our advanced proof copy, not all of the illustrations were final, so we can't really address Kelly's artwork.
What was in there was cool, though.
Yeah, it was neat. It was very Haunted Mansion-y, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And the subtitle of the book is The Fearsome Foursome, and it's attributed to Amicus Ravenswood, who's the mansion librarian. And I went, huh?
So
what?
I mean, the book is an interesting beast. I mean, it's obviously definitely aimed toward the younger set, like George mentioned, but to me, it felt like it had a bit of an identity problem. It's definitely written in the same vein as for preteens, but there are some parts where it's skewed older, some parts where it's skewed younger, and it just kind of made for a confusing and slightly befuddled read.
Yeah, so we meet the Fearsome Foursome, which are obviously 4 tweens who've come together based on their love of horror stories and the macabre. One of the kids actually mentions reading, or it's actually mentioned that he's carrying in a book by H.P. Lovecraft, which really made me think that the book was going to take a different path and maybe be
good.
A little. Yeah, but I was starting to think not eerie, but well, Lovecraft,
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
So the kids, they like to get together and talk about the books that they're reading and tell each other scary stories, sort of what Jeff does with all of his friends, apparently.
Yeah, basically.
And so after we officially meet them and learn all the characters, they are invited into a spooky house. And we all know which house it's going to be.
So once they're there, they, and in return we, are forced to listen to stories about that are about them, pertain to them, or are just scary, quote unquote, by the resident mansion librarian, who is not George, contrary to popular belief. And in a lot of ways, to me, it quickly degrades into like a cheaply written version of Are You Afraid of the Dark or Tales from the Crypt. And it may be a little harsh to say that because this is written for tweens, but I was definitely bored throughout the entire book.
Yeah, it wasn't like Goosebumps either.
No, not at all. And I still Goosebumps hold up.
Yeah, that's what I meant. It would have been a good title
mostly.
if it had been more like Goosebumps.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did find it seemed rather long-winded, and I was surprised by the story choices that were made. There are references to the Haunted Mansion and Disneyland, like the date July 17th, 1955 is used. There are actually characters named Rolly Crump and Claude Coates, which is kind of odd. Who would ever name their kid those names?
I have no idea. They're not even real names.
No, not at all. And then there's the Mark Davis Funeral Home is part of it. And I was like, what? But it seemed more to me like it was a poke in the eye rather than a tribute. and I'm not sure why. It was probably meant as a loving tribute, but it just didn't feel that way.
Yeah. And, I mean, there's obviously a good, lighthearted reason for this book to exist, and that, of course, is to cash in on the popularity of the Haunted Mansion. And, I'm sure the author is a fan of the attraction and its history, but for whatever reason, it didn't feel like the book was crafted out of love or knowledge. It just kind of felt like a cheap tie-in.
Yeah, that was really weird.
Yeah.
Neither one of us is the intended audience for the book or this potential series, but it seems like modern audiences are a bit more mature in their tastes and their expectations. Still the stories were fun, and the ending of the book in and of itself actually did surprise me somewhat. I didn't expect it, and there were some twists and turns, but it seemed like it was a stretch to have it take place in our favorite spooky house. Like there just wasn't a reason.
Yeah. See, that's a good point because sometimes someone writes a movie and it has nothing to do with one thing, and a studio buys it, and they're like, hey, this will make a good sequel to this movie, and they just add stuff in to make it a sequel. Perfect example here. This felt like it was another book, and Disney just plopped some mansion elements into it, and voila, it's a Haunted Mansion book. Mm-hmm. I mean, on their own, the stories I'm sure would have been fine in some way, but everything just felt forced, and it just wasn't a good read for me.
Yeah. If you've got a tween that really seems interested in horror, or more spookiness than horror, it almost was more Twilight Zone-y than horror, I guess. Or if they really love the Haunted Mansion, then this might be a good choice for them to read, especially someone who's a beginning reader, maybe. But most Haunted Mansion fans aren't really going to find much appeal with the title itself, which is a shame. I'd love to see someone really flesh out some of the real ghost stories that are already there in the mansion.
Yeah.
You know?
And if you want like a really good mansion book, seek out the old comic books, not the new one from Disney Kingdoms, but slave labor graphics in 2005. They released a whole bunch of them, and they're amazing. I mean, you check them out, and you're definitely in for a treat.
A treat? Like a spooky churro, maybe?
That's right, George. Just like a spooky churro. Ghost churro!
If it's a legend that you seek, come on and take a peek at the window of the week.
This week's window is located in Disneyland Paris, because that's how they say it over there, right? I mean, we don't say other words correctly. You might as well say that one incorrectly as well. This window reads, Matchmaking and Counselor of Marriages, Frank Hillard, Eric Weston, John Winder. Now, Frank Hillard was Director of Partnership in charge of strategy and negotiation of corporate partnerships for Disneyland Paris. Eric Weston worked for Imagineering in the 1970s, but left soon after to work for Lucasfilm. And then he returned in 1987 to become Vice President and General Manager of the creative group for Disneyland Paris. And finally, John Winder was Vice President of Marketing for Disneyland Paris.
Sometimes you might see it, sometimes you don't. Hey, look, what's that? It's a five-legged goat.
The brand new Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail at Disney's Animal Kingdom, America's favorite full-day park, it has a nice, subtle tribute to the park's opening. At the very start of the trail, there is a box, and on the box there's a radio. And there's a plaque that says the radio station, and the radio station is ZU2298. Now, obviously, the ZU is a reference to the word zoo, even though Animal Kingdom is not a zoo, trademark, patent pending, whatever they call it. And the 2298 is actually the park's opening day of April 22nd, 1998. It's amazing.
Wow. Yeah, there's that many five-legged goat references there.
Well, I mean, that
entire
park is as rich with everything, of course, is rich with goats. It's flush with goats, George.
It's flush with goats.
And not just
Wow.
real goats, five-legged goats.
Yeah, and I guess it's time for our not a contest.
Yeah, okay. I'll take it.
We'll go with it? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's take it 1 point.
Judges?
For that,
Yeah, they'll allow it. They'll allow it.
Depends on how they're feeling this week. So we are up to the part of the show. It's our Year of a Million or So Limited Time Cadets prize winner announcement. And as a reminder, this is a weekly prize that we're giving away. And all you have to do to enter is email communicoreweekly@gmail.com with your name, address, and birthday, and we will add you to the list.
You know,
One of our weekly
that
prizes.
list.
Yes, that list. The special list.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, all right, Jeff, take it away.
So this is a Communicore Weekly prize pack, and the winner for this week is Kate S. from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Ooh.
Hooray! Indianapolis,
exciting.
Indiana!
Do we have a map like with all the little people that have won like all over to see if we've hit like every state? I guess
Well,
we haven't had every
we
state.
do. I actually have a map of the U.S. on my wall, and I try to put pins in it, but I usually just throw them, so it's kind of just a mash of,
Oh,
you know.
so it's just whatever.
Yeah.
And some of them land on the floor.
Yeah.
You step on them and it makes you cry.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Yeah, that kind of stinks. And I guess that wasn't a good idea.
Nope. But I don't
Sometimes
learn my
we-
lesson.
No, every week it's the same thing.
Yep.
So
This week I'm gonna make it.
So not to belittle Kate in any way, shape, or form, Kate S., we're very excited. Send us a photo or a post to our Facebook or hit us on Twitter and show us your fabulous prize.
Yes, please.
Yay. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for watching and listening to another episode of Communicore Weekly.
However you get the show, whether you watch us on iTunes or listen to us on iTunes, leave us a rating or watch us on YouTube, leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you.
Yep, and you can, again, email us at communicoreweekly@gmail.com for just any reason. We're happy to get email.
Yeah. You can also like us on Facebook at facebook.com/CommunicoreWeekly.
And follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Periscope. I'm at Imaginerding. He's at Jeff Heimbuck.
And of course, you can always give us a call on the Communicore Weekly Goat line at 424-785-4628.
And make sure you visit the Communa store at communicoreweekly.com, where you can pick up some really cool stuff like awesome t-shirts.
And of course, there's still plenty of time to get your official cadet membership card or Communicore Weekly sticker. Just send a self-addressed stamped envelope to Communicore Weekly, P.O. Box 432, Orange, California 92856.
And you can visit patreon.com/Communicore Weekly to find out how you too can support the greatest online show. For Jeff Heimbuck, I'm George Taylor.
And for George Taylor, I'm Jeff Heimbuck. Thanks so much for listening, guys and gals. We'll see you next time on Communicore Weekly, the greatest online show.